Chapter 1. The Whispering Pines. The dawnlight filtered through the ancient trees, casting ethereal shadows upon the ground of Kasuga Shrine. Taro stood at the threshold of the shrine, his heart heavy, yet calm in the tranquility of the morning. The air was rich with the scent of dew-kissed earth, and the gentle rustling of leaves whispered secrets known only to the forest. As a monk ordained to protect this sacred ground since childhood, Taro had formed a deep bond not only with the shrine, but also with the spirit of Kasuga Ryūjin, the dragon god of Nara. His connection to the dragon was palpable, more a pulse than a presence, a silent understanding forged in prayer and meditation. He felt it now as he closed his eyes, allowing the energies of the forest to fill him, soothing the turmoil within. He opened his eyes and looked towards the grove beyond the shrine. The sacred deer, revered inhabitants of this sanctuary, grazed peacefully, embodying the spirit of the land. Taro had often taken solace among them, finding their gentle nature a balm to his own conflicted heart. He stepped softly into the grove, his thoughts drifting away on the whispers of the pines. "Good morning, dear ones," he greeted the deer, crouching low to offer a handful of fresh grass he had picked from the shrine garden. The deer approached cautiously, their large, dark eyes filled with an innocent curiosity. Taro felt the ache of his responsibilities weigh heavier in his chest today, a burden that never fully lifted. "Do you sense it?" he whispered to them, seeing in their movements a reflection of his own fears. The land had begun to tremble under the drumbeat of war, as General Kaido's army drew closer, a shadow looming over the tranquility of Nara. Taro looked up toward Mount Mikasa, where the dragon's spirit was said to dwell. Would it remain undisturbed, or would its wrath awaken to protect the land he had devoted his life to safeguarding? "Protect them, Kasuga Ryūjin," he murmured, closing his eyes. "Guide me on the path I must take." The air shifted around him, a response that chilled him, yet a whisper of reassurance. The dragon was indeed aware. Suddenly he felt a soft touch upon his shoulder, stirring him from his reverie. Emiko stood behind him, her hair cascading like a waterfall of silk down her back. Dressed in her floral kimono, she brought with her a warmth that contrasted his turmoil. "Taro," she said, her voice a gentle melody. "You worry too much?" "It is not worry, Emiko," Taro replied, rising from his crouch, brushing the grass from his robes. "It is a sense of foreboding. The wars of men encroach upon our home." Her gaze followed his, and she sighed softly. "The deer sense it too. They grow restless. But remember, we have our roles to play. We must not lose hope." Taro appreciated her resolve, though he wondered if hope could withstand the march of destruction. "What if our hope is not enough?" he asked, his brow furrowing. "What if we must unleash the very power we seek to avoid?" "We must prepare," he said, his voice steadying. As they moved towards the main hall of the shrine, the world around them transformed. The trees, once full of life and serenity, started to feel like observers of a looming tempest. Taro quickly summoned the other monks, his heart resolute despite the creeping dread. "Brothers," Taro called, his voice resonating against the wooden beams of the shrine. "The time has come. An army approaches. We must protect our sacred ground and the spirit of this place." The monks, clad in robes similar to Taro's, joined him, each face revealing their own mixture of concern and determination. Each had been called to this life of devotion. Each had their own sacred bond with the land and its creatures. The thoughts of battle weighed on them all, but their unity felt like a shield against despair. "We have knowledge of the ancient wards," Elder Tanaka spoke, his voice trembling slightly. "But will that be sufficient?" "Knowledge alone cannot prevail against brute force," Taro said, feeling the weight of his position as their leader. "Yet we wield what is spiritual, and that carries a power of its own." He glanced towards Emiko, who stood at the edge of the gathering, her herbal pouch at her side. "We will combine our strengths," he continued, "the wisdom of our ancestors and the healing ways of nature. Together, we can stand strong." The elder nodded slowly, though doubt lingered in his eyes. "And if the dragon must be summoned?" "If!" "Then we prepare ourselves for the consequences," Taro interrupted, steeling his resolve. "But we will exhaust all other means before we risk invoking that power." As the final words hung in the air, a loud horn was blown from the distant hills, an announcement of war. The monk's expressions shifted to that of grim determination. Taro clasped his hands together. and for a brief moment he closed his eyes, envisioning the spirit of Kasuga Ryūjin, a majestic presence that urged him onward, reminding him of his purpose. "Brothers, let us gather the wards," he commanded, his voice echoing through the expanse, reminding them of their duty. "And prepare the river, let the sacred waters flow." Emiko moved towards him, her spirit unwavering as she prepared the rituals of healing. "I will not leave your side," she promised, determination glittering in her kind eyes. "Whatever awaits us, we face it together." Taro nodded, appreciative of her steadfastness. Yet he could not shake the feeling of looming dread. He had spent countless days within these hallowed grounds, protecting what felt invincible. But now he felt the specter of defeat hanging on the horizon, darkening the sky above Nara. As they gathered the sacred herbs and materials drawn from the depths of the forest, Taro couldn't ignore the feeling of history haunted within the shrine. So many guardians had come before him. He could feel their spirits lingering, guiding him yet warning him of the storms ahead. Mount Mikasa loomed large in his, and just beyond the trees, thunder rumbled, a promise that the spirit of the mountain was awakening, stirring beneath layers of mist and legend. Taro stood at the forefront, embodying the unity of guardian and healer, ready to confront the tide of invasion that threatened to sweep over Nara and the sanctuary they vowed to protect. As the echoes of battle began to dance upon the wind, Taro took a deep breath, reaching into the depths of his spirit. "May the ancestors guide us today," he whispered, and felt an answering glow within. The story of their fight had just begun, one etched in the whispers of the pines that stood sentinel over Kasuga Shrine.